Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. How does that sound? Go to trustedamerican.com to find out how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
That's right. Welcome to the show, Guerilla Sports Daily, January 13th, 2025. I'm Nate Jackson, and we are here to mourn the end of the Denver Broncos season. Broncos lost to the Buffalo Bills yesterday in Buffalo, 31-7. Yes, that's right. The Broncos only mustered 7 points in a playoff game, and the Bills put up 31. And we're going to diagnose that game a little bit. We're going to talk about why that happened. The Denver Broncos had an opening drive touchdown. They took the ball. It went right down the field and scored on a beautiful pass down the middle to Troy Franklin on a deep ball. One of those balls that he hasn't caught all year long. Troy Franklin got the scoring started for the Denver Broncos, but after that, they couldn't find the end zone. They couldn't even find – there's Troy. There's Troy. Good job, Troy. Way to get the party started. However, that would be all the scoring the Broncos did for the day. Really, in every way, the Buffalo Bills proved that they were the superior team out there yesterday. And the playoffs are really good in a lot of ways, okay? The Broncos weren't expected to make the playoffs, but then they did. And what happens in the playoffs is you are shown your deficiencies up close. What are those deficiencies that the Broncos have based on the result of that game? Because it's great to win some regular season games, but aren't we in this for championships? Aren't we in this to hoist the trophy? If that's the goal, which it obviously is, the Broncos have a lot of work to do. We're going to diagnose exactly what went wrong in this game and what they need to work on. But first, I just kind of want to pause and reflect on the totality of the season, okay? As an NFL player and as a team, you arrive late March, early April. We're now in January, okay? And you start running and you start lifting as a team. Sean Payton prescribes to the old Bill Parcells philosophy of the first month of offseason is running and lifting, just with the fellas out there. No coaches. You know, you got your strength coaches, but you're not in the classroom. You're not watching film. You're not out on the field running routes with coaches. What you're doing is you're running and you're lifting together and becoming a family and getting to know one another. I always really enjoyed that process as a player because it was just about getting in shape. You know, there wasn't the pressure of being in scrutinized by coaches, being out on the practice field, installing plays, going through meetings. Meetings are boring, guys. I'm sure at your work, meetings are boring. Just like in the NFL, meetings are boring. 4 hours of meetings every day in the NFL. A lot of folks might not understand that. You sit in a chair for a lot longer than you're out there on the field, and you're watching film, you're installing plays, and Sean Payton's playbook is pretty complicated, right? So that first month, when that month is over and you start to arrive for OTAs and mini camps, that's when practices start. That's when the coaches start getting in your ear. That's when you got to start learning the system. That's when the pressure ratchets up. That's in, May and June. You're still doing the running and the lifting, but you're practicing with the team. And you're starting to show the coaches if you are reliable out on the field executing their system. And then you get a little bit of a break, and then training camp comes around, and it's full go until basically today. Now they have a bye week, but that bye didn't come until week 13. So the Broncos had basically from late July up until their bye at the end of November, early December, right? It was December. It was a December bye. Think about all those straight days and straight months of work finally culminating in this playoff game that they lost to the Buffalo Bills 31-7. And it wasn't one of those games where you can say, oh, man, they should have won it. Nah, they shouldn't have won it. They actually got destroyed in that game and proven, well, that they're not quite there yet. But the Broncos, who Vegas thought were going to win 5.5 games, who PFF thought was the worst roster in the league, produced 5 all-pro players, a top 5 defense. They didn't look that way yesterday, but a top 5 defense and some really promising play from some offensive players that portend good things on the horizon. Here was Sean Payton right after the game, summing up what went wrong.
Disappointing finish to the season. Tip our hats to Buffalo. The things we felt we needed to do on the road to win, we didn't do nearly well enough. Time of possession was heavily tilted in their favor. We struggled consistently, whether it was third downs or running the football, and then, we never really had an answer to stop their running game. So when you play in a game like that, you're not rushing the passer nearly as much as you've been accustomed to, and so now it's run, play action. I thought we struggled on first down defense. Offensively, I thought we struggled on third down. Kicking game, I thought we lost that field position battle. So, look, it starts with me, and it's always a tough pill to swallow, especially when it's a postseason game. I'm proud of the fight, and there's a lot of disappointed guys in that locker room. At halftime, I was comfortable with where things were. You're on the road, and we played pretty good red zone defense, forced field goals. But the second half, we just didn't play well enough.
Yeah, a lot to diagnose there. Sean Payton mentioned the things they wanted to do well, they weren't able to do well. And that's run the football and stop the run. Run the football and stop the run. When I see a team that isn't running the ball well and isn't stopping the run well, what I believe or what I think is that you didn't practice running the football hard enough for both sides of the ball to prepare for a game like this. The playoffs is about being able to run the football. A real quick story. Mike Shanahan, my former coach, and he's now a friend of mine. I wrote a really long article about him last year, and so I spent some time with Mike talking about his career, talking about his evolution as a head coach, and talking about what he learned as a head coach and as a play caller. And Mike told me that Mike was the offensive coordinator here in Denver for 3 Super Bowls. 3 Super Bowls he went to. Was it 3 or was it 2? Either way, the Denver Broncos were really good until they got to the Super Bowl, and then they got absolutely annihilated. And you go back and look at those Super Bowls where they lost big time after having a good season. Every one of those losses was kind of like the Broncos lost yesterday, in which they could not stop the run and they couldn't run the football themselves. They ended up having to throw the ball all game, but the other team destroyed them on the ground, controlled the time of possession. And what Mike realized was, you might be good all regular season, but when it gets to the playoffs and especially the Super Bowl, if you don't have a solid running game, you will get exposed, and you will get exposed on a national stage, which is what happened to the Broncos yesterday. The running game isn't good enough for the Broncos, and they weren't able to stop the run. What that tells me is you're not practicing hard enough on both sides of the ball, not putting enough of a priority on the running game. Okay. And in my opinion, when I look at this defense, the way they attacked this game, of course, they were going all out and trying as hard as they could. Vance Joseph put in the game plan he thought was going to work. But the idea was that you got to stop Josh Allen, right? It was all about Josh Allen. And in my opinion, the result of that game is what happens when you think you only have to stop one guy. How are we going to stop Josh Allen? He kills us on man coverage. He's great on zone. He buys time in the pocket. Well, guess what? None of that really mattered because they were able to, like Sean Payton just push the ball down the field on first down, set up really manageable second downs, third downs. And when you run the ball so effectively, and when I'm talking about effective running, I'm talking about over 200 yards on the ground for this Bills team. We didn't talk about their running game all week long. We're talking about this guy. Look at him. The strong right arm of Josh Allen. He should have been here. He should have been a Bronco. We should have drafted him instead of Bradley Chubb. Wow, he's good. He's good. But guess what? There's 10 other players on the team that are also really freaking good. And when you overlook those and just try to create a game plan, I'm not saying this is the game plan or the way they talked about it, but when you can't stop the run and you can't run, it means you're putting, in my opinion, prioritizing passing. You're talking too much about the quarterback and what he can do. And you're putting too much on your own quarterback, which is what happened to Bo. Sean Payton talked about the time of possession. He said it was tilted. Yeah, tilted like that. The Bills had the ball for almost 42 of the 60 minutes in the game. That is an abnormal tilt. That is abnormally bad as far as possessing the football. The Broncos only had the ball for 18 minutes. They only had 42 plays, 42 offensive plays. Of course, the stats aren't going to be good, but when you can't convert a first down, you're off the field. And guess what? Your defense is back on the field. And what he mentioned also right there about not being able to rush the passer, it's a very good point. The Broncos led the league in sacks with over 60, but they couldn't get to Josh. They got to him twice, but they couldn't get to him because it didn't matter. They were running the football. How do you rush a passer when they're just running the ball down your throat? And then when they do the play action passing, of course, it's wide open because you're getting gashed on the run. So you commit a bunch of guys to the box. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, they pull the ball out. There are guys running free. There were wide open dudes. And it's because the run game was so effective. And so Sean Payton took the onus on himself and the coaching staff as well. These guys have to coach better. These guys have to play better. Of course, we want to pause and think about all the good things we did to get to that point. 10-7, the Broncos were counted out, made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and a lot of young players. And speaking of that rookie quarterback, how about Bo Nix? Here's Sean Payton talking about Bo Nix.
Yeah, look, he hung in there. He battled. There's some third downs I'm sure he'll want back, some plays he'll want back. It's pretty tough to play that position when the opponent's rushing the ball the way they are and you're not having the consistency. We felt like, man, we had this happens a lot where you have a real good run game plan and you don't get to near hardly any of it. Even that last series, when it's still a 2-score game, there's been a lot of times from my experience where, hey, you got to stick to the run, and we run it, and here we are, 3rd and 7, and we just didn't execute well enough, and it's frustrating.
A lot of pressure to put on that young man there, Bo Nix, when your running game isn't working. And he's a rookie quarterback, never been in that environment. He's really performed at a very high level this year, said all the right things, improved in ways that we in Broncos country can feel excited about going forward. But at the same time, he can't be asked to carry the load there. And Sean Payton mentioned it. When you can't stop the run on defense, these guys get cold on the sideline. And then they come on and they go 3 and out, and the defense is right back out there getting punished again. And so it really became a very lopsided game pretty early on. Bo Nix did lead the Broncos on a touchdown drive, a 5-play, 70-yard touchdown drive in the opening drive. Took the ball at the 30. They ran off a 5-yard run right up the gut by Javonte Williams, who got the start. Then Jaleel McLaughlin off right tackle for -3 yards, setting up 3rd and 8. And then they hit Cortland Sutton on a nice in-breaking route for 19 yards. That was nice. Everyone felt good about that. 1st and 10, Buffalo 49, shotgun, Javonte Williams, 6-yard gain. Things are looking good. And then the very next play on 2nd and 4, that deep shot, 43 yards to Troy Franklin. That represented really the most exciting stuff that the Broncos did on offense all game. And so the next series was a 3 and out and a punt. The next series was 9 plays, 31 yards. Then they had to punt. Next series was a missed field goal at the end of the half. Come out from the second quarter, punt, turnover on downs, and that's the end of the game. And so we can learn a lot from that. But Bo Nix, who has held his head high and has said all the right things throughout, did the exact same thing after the game. Here is Bo Nix.
I'm really proud of those guys. We've overcome a lot. We've, not really been counted in many games. We've just kind of, been that team that's continued to battle, not really talked about, just kind of felt like everybody thought we were just there and, we were just another team. But, to make the playoffs was a special moment for this crew. It's something to build off of, and it's definitely not something that we're going to, it's not our goal just to win, the regular season, just to make it to the playoffs. So, our goals are changing, and, I'm excited to be around the Broncos at this time.
That's right. Bo Nix is part of this changing landscape of the Denver Broncos, where your goals start to change. The goals for this team were probably just to make the playoffs, right? Get to 10 wins. They did that, and now the goals are going to change to making hay, to making some waves in the playoffs, and obviously to winning the Super Bowl. But they got a nice taste from the Buffalo Bills of what it's going to take to do that. Bo Nix can't do it on his own. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. The best thing to take pressure off of a young quarterback is a good defense, which the Broncos have, and a running game, which the Broncos don't have and didn't commit to all season long. Who's the starting running back? Nobody ever knew. How do you develop continuity, rhythm? How does that running back get a lather and get working into the moment? 7 carries for Javonte, 29 yards. And I know it's easy to diagnose this after the fact when things don't work out and say you should have ran the ball more, but you have to run the ball effectively to run it more, because that's how you pick up first downs. They weren't able to do that. And so Bo Nix can't do it by himself. He showed a lot of promise this year, went 13 of 22 for 144 yards and a touchdown. Bo Nix went on to say this.
How satisfied are you with your rookie season now that's coming to an end?
Well, the simple answer is we didn't win a Super Bowl, so there's a lot to learn from, a lot to grow from. But the cliche good answer would be, we had a winning season. We made it to the playoff. We did something that we haven't done in a while. We competed hard against teams that are really good, and we just kind of proved to ourselves that we belong in some of these games. But the job's you play this game to reach the highest level, and so I don't want to be complacent, and I don't want to ever, be just comfortable and satisfied and happy with, just something that looks good on the outside. You play this game to win, and everybody's working for a Super Bowl, and we owe that to ourselves because of the time we put into it, and unfortunately, only one team can do that at the end of the year. So 31 teams are going home, disappointed, but it's a lot to grow from, a lot to build from. I'm excited where we are. Like I said, I'm excited to be here at this time because there's, our trajectory is going up. I'm excited for it. A lot of things, we have out in front of us, a lot to look forward to, which, I'm pumped about.
That's right. It's about Super Bowls. It's about Super Bowls, and this year it's not going to be a Super Bowl. It's going to be a Super Bowl. Maybe a couple of years in the future it can be a Super Bowl. But until then, the Broncos have work to do. He gave you both answers. He gave you the cliche answer, and he also gave you the real answer. The real answer is disappointment because you didn't get the Super Bowl, but the cliche answer, the good answer, he said, is that we should feel good about the things we've done to get to this point against the odds. He didn't mention this, but the Broncos are kind of cash-strapped because they're paying Russell Wilson $53 million or something like that. So weren't able to spend the same amount of money on their team as other teams. And playing with a rookie quarterback, low expectations, we're able to surprise some folks and create some momentum going into this offseason. So he's absolutely right about that. And I think it is a bittersweet sort of thing. The bitterness of the loss. Of course, these are all competitors who want to win it all. And the sweetness of knowing that you've actually corrected the course of this ship, this Broncos country ship that we all know and love. And the standard of excellence on this ship is up here. And in the last 9 years, it's been down here. Well, Bo and company have raised the standard once again. And for that, we thank them. No player represents or embodies that Broncos standard more than Patrick Surtain, the second front runner for Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Here is Pat Surtain talking about how well the Bills executed this game.
Say it again.
What do you attribute their ability to sort of hold on to the ball a lot in the first half, especially in the first quarter of the run game?
Yeah, they had a good execution, a good plan with running the ball. And we understood that coming into the game. They did a great job of, honing in all to get on the run game from the front to James. He's a good running back, obviously, so a lot of credit goes to him.
Sean was just saying it's harder to rush a guy like Allen because he is so big and old.
Mm-hmm.
Did that affect how you guys could cover and your ability to?
I mean, we understood what was going. Obviously, he keeps plays alive by his feet, and we understood that it was key to play the second act of the play and plaster on receivers. But I feel like there's plays out there to be made. We just ain't make them at the end of the day, especially in playoff football. We just got to make plays at the end of the day. But, we just learn from it and correct it for next year.
Learn from it and turn from it. The Broncos will learn from this, and then they'll turn from this, and they'll focus on the future. But he mentioned James Cook, and throw up that original James Cook there. Is it this James Cook? The British explorer, cartographer, and naval officer? Not that James Cook, the other one. That one. I wonder if the British explorer cartographer could have rushed for 120 yards against the Broncos defense. I don't think so. I think he would have probably had a tough time there. But then again, I don't know if this James Cook could have been a naval explorer for the British Army in the late 1700s. But you never know. People have multiple talents. This James Cook rushed for 120 yards on 23 carries, averaging over 5 yards a carry against the Broncos for a long of 19 yards. The Bills as a team rushed for over 200 yards against these Broncos. Patrick Surtain mentioned that they knew this was coming. It didn't seem like it. Obviously you're told these things in meetings and, watch for this. They respect their opponents. James Cook has scored a lot of touchdowns this year and had a good season. At the same time, the product on the field out there yesterday didn't suggest that they placed as much of an imperative on stopping the run as they did on stopping Josh Allen. They stopped neither, and so this Broncos defense that was really good all year wasn't able to get it done in the playoffs versus the Bills, who are a very good team. But what that tells me is, guys, you held the Bills to 31 points. They're the second highest scoring team in the league. They're going to score points on us. They're at home. They got Josh Allen, the front runner or neck and neck guy for MVP. We have to score points on our offense. The Broncos had to score points. Bottom line, we're not going to blame the defense, even though they did get pushed through like a knife through hot butter. Sean Payton, everybody's right about that. First down, just gashed. I mean, up front, through the middle. But at the same time, as an offense, when you see that happening, there's a couple things you got to do. One, you got to stay on the field offensively. You have to stay on the field. Let the defense rest. Maybe they're getting tired too, guys. And when you go 3 and out, they're on the field for a 14-play drive. They come out. You punt after 3 plays. They're right back out there going through the same thing. It's a balance that's required on a football team. And in a game like that, there was absolutely none of the balance. 42 minutes of possession for the Bills to only 18 minutes of possession for the Broncos. Second team All-Pro Zack Allen had a sack in that game, didn't he, Thomas? And he's down there somewhere. I'm looking for the video of Zack Allen. And here he is talking after the game about running the ball. Zack Allen.
Obviously came out the game plan to run the ball against you. Were you surprised? Why were they able to run it so successfully?
Yeah, I think they came out with a good plan, and we just didn't tackle well enough. They did a good job kind of winding it back and bouncing it. So we just got to be better about that.
So Sean was just talking about how you got to just fuel you go to the offseason next year. How do you kind of collectively get into the offseason?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. I mean, it's obviously we didn't get the job done, and it stings right now. But I'm sure probably by next Saturday, Sunday, whenever the next playoff game is, it's really going to kind of sit in and get the fire going when you watch other teams play. So, it sucks, but you got to get back on the horse.
You guys are within 3 at halftime. Was it just sort of a reminder just how kind of the margins small when you're playing a team like this?
Yeah, I think that was kind of that's playoff ball is any little mistake could just, make or break the game. It's not like the regular season, and it's tough when you got a young team to kind of relay that, but it's kind of a little bit of a deal of like trial by fire. So you got 53 plus in there that now know what it is, and hopefully that that leads to some future success.
There were some folks who didn't want Bo Nix to start this season because they didn't want his feelings to be hurt if he had a bad game or if they had some adversity early in the season. This team right now, this Denver Broncos team, is being built for a future run. Okay, is 2024 the sweet spot for the Denver Broncos? I don't think so. Sean Payton just got here. He just completed his second year. The ship is being turned around. This is about the next decade for this guy and what kind of waves they can make in the NFL with a young team now that grows and becomes a mature team. What Zack Allen just mentioned there was 100% correct. These guys didn't know what it was like in the NFL playoffs. Cortland Sutton didn't even know what it was like in the playoffs, and he's in his 7th season. Garrett Bowles didn't know what it was like in the NFL playoffs, and he's in his, 8th? These guys have been around for a while and have never stepped foot on a playoff field, and the rookies and the young players the same. Now they know. Now they know exactly what it's going to take. Zack Allen mentioned not being able to tackle well enough, getting pushed around. Now they know that they're going to have to bring something extra and commit a little bit more to running the football and to stopping the run. And maybe throughout the season in advance of it, they can commit more to the run and create a more balanced attack that prioritizes running the football a little bit more. And so you're not trying to figure out how to do it when you get to the playoffs. You've done it all season long. It's like trying to cram for a dental exam. You're staying up all night the night before flossing your teeth. Too late. You got a freaking cavity. And the Broncos had a few cavities that got exposed on yesterday's dental visit in Buffalo. But a lot of promise, a ton of promise on this team. We need to take a moment to reflect on that. Zack Allen mentioned that promise when he was just talking about the rookies on this team. Here's Zack Allen talking about Broncos rookies.
Can you get excited about kind of the idea that these younger players did learn here? You had a rookie quarterback, you guys had salary cap constraints, and still able to win 10 games and make a run to the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, I don't know. It's. I get that what the expectations were, but if you look at the season, I mean, there were definitely some ones that you kind of want back and some moments you want back. So, again, you like kind of everybody keeps on saying like, oh, like it's great that they're in the dance, but at the end of the day, like, we know who we are, and we probably should, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it's true. So, it's you just got to kind of take that going forward. It's so. Which one?
The touchdown on 4th and 1 where he.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, that kind of opened the floodgates because it was still close, but then whatever it was late in the 3rd, early in the 4th, it's tough, but we just gotta keep on pressing and just gotta settle it down after that. Thanks, guys.
All right, there he was talking about the bad taste in the mouth, not the rookies, but the fact that although out here we're talking about how great it is that they won 10 games and got into the playoffs, Zack Allen and those guys aren't satisfied. And they actually felt like several of those games throughout the year got away from them, which we all watched and we agree with. And so you got to love the sort of dissatisfaction on the taste, on the lips of those guys. It's not enough to make it to playoffs. It's just not. All these guys are competitors. They're professional athletes for a reason. It's because they've been cutting the throats of their opponents all their lives, and they get to the NFL. What are they just supposed to be happy that they're one of the best 14 teams out of 32? That's not enough. Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. He wants to bring another one here. And, a lot of great coaches who have great tenures and turn into dynasties. It's the 3rd year that they end up winning the Super Bowl. And we've got 2 down. The 3rd year's coming up for Sean Payton, 2025. But let's all take a moment and appreciate the season that was, starting in April, ending here yesterday at the hands of the Buffalo Bills, 31-7. These young Broncos are going to learn from this, and they're going to get better. as we all are as we go through this life. That's it for us on Guerilla Sports Daily. I'm Nathan Jackson, and you are? That's right. Awesome. See you guys later.